This video is to demonstrate some buoyancy principles. I've got a few glasses and cups, and on one side of my sink here I've got it partly filled with water so I can show about how deep the water has to get for something to float. So I've got a wine glass here. It has to go about an inch underwater in order to float. And what I'm going to do on the other side of the sink, I'm going to put this inside the drain, and it fits inside the drain hole without falling through it, so water is able to get around the glass, submerge it a little bit. Some of it's leaking through the glass and the drain because there's not a perfect seal. But what I'm trying to demonstrate is that you can submerge this glass, and if there's no water underneath it, it won't float. So let's fill this up. I'm going to turn the water to the side a little bit, maybe make it a little less loud. Already it's higher than that 1 inch, so it's the water's higher than what was required to make the glass float. And underneath there are some trickles of water going that you can see through the bottom of the glass perhaps, that are going down the drain. Only got about 1.5 inches left before the glass is overtopped by the water, and it still has not started to float. There's no water pressure on the bottom to push the glass up. When you put an object in water, let's say you take a block of wood and you submerge it underwater and there's water all the way around it, there's more pressure on top of the block of wood. No, there's less pressure on top of the block of wood because it's not as deep, and the bottom of the wood, which is deeper, has more pressure, and that difference in pressure is what creates a buoyant force. Now the water is about to overtop the glass, so we have completely submerged this glass and it has not buoyed up because there's no pressure underneath it to push up on it. There you go, water's going over the top. And there's nothing special here. I haven't put a seal between the glass or the drain. There we go, we're filling up the glass. Alright, the glass is completely full. There's the glass, I've emptied it, I'm going to put it back in. Right now there's a little force pushing up on it. Once I get it inside the drain and the water goes away and there's air, there's a little bit of a downward pull, and that's actually the pressure along the sides here, on the tapered sides, pushing down. So let's take this one out. Let's try a different shaped glass. This is just another wine glass, just a little shorter. Let's maybe be about 1 inch also to make that one float. I'll put that in there as well. And I think you can see a little more dramatically it's leaking through the bottom. Same phenomenon's going on, though we don't have any floating yet, and I don't expect to see any. And it's almost all the way to the top there. If I lift it up, just break the seal so there's water underneath the whole glass, then it floats. The water's going down between the cup and the drain now. As soon as I put it in there and the air, we're able to get air in there, or just the water has no pressure, then there's no buoyant force. Let's try a cup with relatively straight sides. It's got a tiny bit of a taper to it, but not much. This one's a bit heavier, and I don't have the water deep enough on the other side. Let's see what happens though. And I'm trying to keep it from getting wedged in there. I want to put it in as gently as I can. Let's see if this will raise up without tapered sides. Looks like I don't have enough water going in to overcome the amount that's going out between the cup and the drain. So not a good enough of a joint there. So push it down a little bit. I'm afraid I might have wedged it in. I can see it rising a little bit on the edge of the cup there. Very slowly coming up. It's almost at the top, about a quarter-inch or so to go. About to over top. I'm going to lift it a little bit, see if it'll float. It won't float. Even when I lift it up a little bit, it won't float. I have to lift it up so water can get underneath it, and then it floats. Now water's underneath it and it'll float. Stick it down, there's no water underneath. Okay, right now it's just wiggling around inside, and I have to actually pull up. I can feel a downward force on it right now. There's probably very little buoyant force on the tapered sides. It's the weight of the cup is heavier. As soon as I get it so it breaks above and enough water's going down the drain, then it lifts up. There you go, some buoyant forces in action. Archimedes said that buoyant force of an object is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced. And if you do a calculation, if you're into physics and you do calculation, you submerge any shape object, if you subtract the bottom pressure from the top pressure and multiply that by the horizontal surface area, you're going to get the same force that you would calculating it using Archimedes' method.